Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be covering the topic of whether or not the X Pulsefire Haste has indeed dethroned the Model O. I'm going to be talking about each mouse in specific, and then comparing the mouses to each other. With that said, let's go ahead and hop right into the video. Alright, to start this video off, I'm going to talk about the glorious Model O. First, I'm going to talk about its shape. The shape of the Model O is very, very comfortable. It fits my hands very well. I have smaller hands, however, even though it is a larger mouse, it fits them very comfortably. This mouse can be used in either hand, however, has side buttons only on one side of the mouse. I think it fits the right hand a little bit better, but you can still use it left-handed. I personally believe that the shape of the Model O is very, very comfortable and great for pretty much any clicking method. Due to how open the buttons are, your fingers can easily butterfly click. Due to the length of the buttons, it's easy to drag click, even for inexperienced drag clickers, and jittering is a breeze with this shape as well. Next, I'd like to talk about the feel of the clicks. The switches on this mouse are much more tactile and clicky than other Model O or Model O minus mice. The weight of the mouse switches, or the weight of the switches, are great in the Model O Wireless, and while the clicks are not as light as a Logitech mouse, such as the G Pro Wireless, it is still super easy to jitter click, as well as double click. I love the weight of the clicks on the Model O Wireless for butterfly clicking, however, don't prefer the mouse for jitter clicking. That's not saying that you can't jitter click on this mouse. You can, and very easily too. It's my personal preference that I like the G Pro Wireless more for jitter clicking. Now, moving on to clicks per second, one of the main selling points for this mouse. This mouse has adjustable debounce time, meaning you can choose whether this mouse double clicks or not. This mouse, if set to 0 debounce time, will register all of your clicks. That means the only limit to your clicks per second is you. I can butterfly a good 20 to 25 clicks per second on this mouse, jitter a good 15 to 17, and drag click a good 20 to 30. This mouse is an all-around great mouse for all clicking methods, and one of the best in my eyes for Minecraft PvP. As for the software, it's pretty standard. It's a pretty standard mouse software. I would say it's more polished and easily understood than most. Has a great design, is aesthetically pleasing, and does what it is supposed to do. As for the build quality of this mouse, while it's complained about quite a bit, it is surprisingly good. Even if your mouse somehow broke after about a year or had a build quality flaw, this mouse, when purchased from Glorious, comes with a 2-year warranty. I personally think that this mouse has great build quality, and unlike the Glorious Model O minus wired, it doesn't feel like something you could crush in your hand. Moving on to the final point, overall quality. The build quality is very good in my eyes. Switches are also great. The mouse is insane when it comes to charging. Takes about an hour or two of charging for a full charge. That is, if you're using the wireless version. And that lasts for up to 70 hours of playtime. Clicks per second is super good. Software is easy to use, but not anything special. The weight is very light, however, seems to be the standard for super light mice nowadays. I love this mouse and would suggest it to any Minecraft player willing to spend a fairly large amount of money. It, in my eyes, is more than worth it. I would now like to talk about the X Pulsefire Haste. The shape of this mouse is also very comfortable. It fits my hand well, but I feel a little strained while holding it, just my fingers feel stretched in a way. When it comes to the shape, I feel like the Model O has beaten the Haste. The feel of the clicks is wonderful. Every click is smooth and satisfying. However, when I go to actually PvP or bridge with it, the clicks seem lacking or in a way awful. How I would describe it is the clicks are great if you're clicking slowly, but when you go to click quickly, the clicks feel almost mushy in a way. Not sure how to describe it, but it's not a good feeling. So if you're someone who normal clicks, this mouse would be great. If you jitter, it would be a good mouse too, yet it's not as satisfying or crisp in a way as a Logitech mouse. Because yet again, once you start clicking quickly, it's mushy in a way. But Same goes for butterfly clicking. You can butterfly click on this mouse, but in a way, it's really hard, it's not very pleasant, and the mouse buttons are so narrow that I can't fit both my fingers over one mouse button, so it's really difficult for me to comfortably butterfly click on this. But moving on to build quality, it's a very sturdy build. This thing does not feel like you could crush it in your hand. It is a little flimsy, perhaps, but I don't know. It's just a little bit less sturdy than the Model O, but it's still quite sturdy, and I don't feel like I could break it. Now moving on to clicks per second. This mouse has become famous and well known, just like the glorious Model O, for its amazingly fast clicking speed, the ability to quadruple click, and the fact that the debounce time is default set to 0. When I go to butterfly, I can't actually get over 12 clicks per second, however, which is extremely bad in my eyes. The main reason I can't butterfly click on this mouse, or click very well, is what I mentioned earlier, where the mouse buttons are too small for me to be able to fit both of my fingers on the mouse. And then for for butterfly clicking, I wouldn't suggest this mouse. But when it comes to jitter clicking, I can get about my normal, which is about 15 clicks per second on average. However, it's still, as I mentioned earlier, not as satisfying as jittering on something like the G Pro Wireless. I think the G Pro Logitech mice, they're just the best for jitter clicking. I don't even think that the glorious Model O can beat it when it comes to jitter clicking. And then when it comes to drag clicking, I can get, yet again, my normal, which is like 20 to 25 clicks per second. And that's without tape. The software for this mouse is very well designed. However, it's still quite straightforward and easy to use. And then when it comes to the overall quality of this mouse, I would say it's good, but not the best. The clicks feel mushy when clicking quickly, and the buttons are too narrow to butterfly click. So now, it has come to the time to discuss as to whether the HyperX Pulsefire Haste has overtaken, or dethroned, the Model O. I would say no. But before you rage and leave the video, let me explain why. To start off, I'd like to talk about what I like about Glorious and their mice. The main thing that has led me to purchase from Glorious over and over again is the fact that they have different size and shaped mice that all do the exact same thing. Meaning, if I wanted a smaller mouse that was just like the Model O, I could purchase the Model O minus. If I wanted an ergonomic mouse to fit my hand, I could buy the Model D or even the Model I. However, HyperX doesn't have this option. The next thing is the fact that I'm a butterfly clicker, and I can't comfortably butterfly on the Haste. Whereas, on the glorious Model O, the buttons are more than wide enough to make it where I can incredibly comfortably butterfly click on it. Then my final reason is the fact that the Glorious just feels nicer both in shape and in clicks, as well as being both aesthetically pleasing and practical. I'd also like to mention that I would normally complain that there is not a wireless version of the Haste. However, while it's not very well known, the Haste actually has a wireless version, selling for only $70 US. To wrap up my point, I do not believe that the Model O has dethroned, or has been dethroned after all. I believe it's good as ever, and will remain my main mouse in the future. I don't think I will be using the HyperX very frequently. As I said, it's not very comfortable to butterfly click on, and I think that if you are a serious gamer, or a serious Minecraft player, I would still go with the glorious mice.